Hey Church Girl, welcome to Church Girl Gang, a podcast where we get to talk about life, living for Jesus, and everything in between, and how that affects us in the here and now. My name is Kenzie, and I'll be your host, and I can't wait to dive into this conversation with you. Hey Church Girl, last week we started our conversation with our church guys, and today we are going to finish off that conversation. These guys have so much good things to tell you, and so I hope that you're excited to hear the rest of this. I hope that you've enjoyed hearing from these guys. As a single girl, myself, it has been really encouraging just to hear their thoughts and hear their hearts. And I'm excited to take some of the things that they're saying and put them into action in my own life. I hope you are too. But with that being said, let's get into this conversation. Okay, this next question is for everyone. What makes someone a grown man? Is it some good facial hair? I see you guys all have some good facial hair here. Is that?
I was barely able to grow this like last week.
Yeah. Congratulations.
I'm on that department, if I'm being completely honest. But
yeah. What makes someone a grown man?
Makes someone a grown man.
I think these ladies they're looking for a grown man. That's why they're asking.
Yeah, I think culturally, it has been like providing, and while I do believe absolutely, providing in that area, but by no means am I saying that, woman stays at home and man goes out to hunt. That's not what I'm saying. But what I have learned too is emotionally providing, someone who's able to stand in and say, look, my wife and I, not that we battle with this, but we pray through this together on what we want our marriage to look like. We're on the edge of breaking generational curses. My parents have split up. Her parents are both remarried, and they're happily remarried. And it's nothing against her parents, but when we got married, it was the first thing that I got to say was like, hey, we get the chance to break this generational curse, and we get a chance to set that godly foundation for, generations to come. And so what does Maddox see when our daughter, when she's growing up, and what does our son see and the rest of our kids and, their kids and things like that and what that would look like. And so emotionally, we were just talking about this the other day, and she was like, hey, I feel like we were coming up to a decision, and she was like, this is how I feel. This is what and so I was able to have to like, hey, look, I feel you and I understand what you're saying. And I'm not, devaluing or, not validating what she's saying. I hear you. We're humans. And, we battle with trying to balance that, but the Bible does say we follow in faith and not by sight. And so by being able to trust that and say, look, while I do understand what you're feeling and how you're saying, but emotionally being able to say, but we are followers of Jesus. And so while I'm not going to make a decision based off of feeling, we're going to pray through this. We're going to walk through this, and we're going to see that. And so a spiritual leader, a spiritual head of their life. And so ladies, if you're listening, I know you are, I'm not going to say if you're listening, and guys, don't get, too hurt on this. But if the man is willing to, if he's not willing to make his time with God a priority, making his time in the local church a priority, he's not in a place to do that with you. Like adding something else that his time is going to have to go to is not going to make that bump up, And if it is, I would ask you, like, just check why. Why is that? Is it all of a sudden, or is he looking to get something? Is he looking to get somewhere? And so for me, what makes a grown man is being able to prioritize, hey, first and foremost, like I'm not going to compromise my relationship with Jesus on the account of someone's feelings or how it makes somebody else feel. And so for me, yes, providing is absolutely what makes someone a grown man. sure, yes, that is, yes, a grown man. I don't think it's a beard. I don't think it's how much weight you can push. I think it's the emotional, the spiritual weight that you can actually lift and say, hey, look, this is where we're going to go. This is what we're going to do. Not that I'm making the sole decisions in my marriage, but being able to be in line with my wife and say, hey, this is what I've been praying about. What have you been? And having those conversations and not being afraid to stray away from those on the account of someone's feelings. Like, hey, these are my guidelines. This is what I'm not willing to compromise. And this is where we're going to go with that.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's so.
That was awesome. You're preaching today. That was so good, Rowdy.
Talk to him, Rowdy.
All right, let's move to this next question, and this one has two parts, y'all. So what are deal breakers in every kind of relationship? So I think specifically, maybe what are deal breakers in romantic relationships? What are deal breakers in friend type of relationships? Or are there even differences in deal breakers? That is the question. I will let you guys define what you think a deal breaker means as well.
I mean, I can go off like with it. I mean, I think every relationship starts with the same foundation. Romantically, I mean, of course there's, hormones behind it for sure. And, but the thing is like, I think, if you don't have boundaries, like if they're not willing to put boundaries within a relationship, like that's a flag. If they're, not willing, because like I know that like sex is like a big thing right now in our culture, and to like, oh, in order for me to show this person that I love them, like I have to have sex with them. Like, no, that's not true. That's completely opposite. Like if they're not willing to, one, if you're a believer, well, first of all, if you're a believer and they're not a believer, like that should be a red flag. That should be a flag. Only because, not to say that they couldn't become a believer one day, but your morals and what you follow will not ever line up. And through that will cause so much heartbreak, so much tension, so much conflict, so much problems and issues, to the point to where like you're 5 years down the road and now you got 5 years of baggage to put onto somebody else.
Yeah.
And that's not a place that you want to be. So like, one, both of y'all need to be believers, or with that, if you are not willing to, one, talk about your feelings, like that's a red flag. Only because, like, I only say that because me personally, like, I've struggled a lot with trying to kind of dig deep within myself and really like think about like, why do I act this way? Why do I treat you this way? Or why do I feel like a relationship is supposed to be like this? And kind of going into like, really kind of dig deep. And if it's just like kind of face value, like if you don't even know the person like deep, like what they think about, like their scariest thoughts, like their fears, like if you don't even know that and you've been together for like a year or so, like that person's not willing to open up to you, don't plan on it, for the next 4 or 5 years either. And, one, if the commitment issue, I feel like, commitment is a really big thing now. We always talk about, commitment issues. Oh, I got trust issues. I got trust issues this, trust issues that. And if a woman's like, I got trust issues or commitment issues, like, one, if you want to embark on that journey, just know it's going to be a very hard one. But I would be their friend first so that they would know what the love of Jesus looks like.
Yeah.
And push them so that they can get through the issues that were caused by somebody else. But I think, one, you have to figure out, like, if the person is not pushing you, like, it kind of comes down to this, like, with romantic relationship or just, relationship in general. Like, if any person's not pushing you, one, to be a better friend, a better woman of God, man of God, husband one day, father one day, my question is what is their purpose in your life then?
Tell them.
And, it kind of comes down to that only because, like, yes, we've been friends for, since we're 8 years old, just kind of, we just do whatever. I was like, but do y'all talk? Do you do life together? It's different to know a person since you were 8 years old. And it's another thing to say, I've been walking, with this person since I was 8 years old. We've been pushing each other. We've been sitting in each other's scripture, stuff like that. Like, and I think it comes down to it, like, if the person makes you a better person or not, like, you need to figure out what is their purpose in your life, because there's a lot of relationships out there that, there's a lot of verbal abuse. There's a lot of, physical abuse, stuff like that, kind of like, abroad, like there's a lot of issues like that. But like, if the person's not making you better, or kind of pushing you to be like, hey, like, I know you have much more inside you, and I love you exactly where you're at, but it kind of comes with, God accepts us, but he loves us so much more not to leave us the same way. And what relationship is really reflecting that?
Yeah.
Like both romantic and, just friendship.
That was awesome.
That's good.
Thank you, Josh. Trev, this one is for you. Well, actually, everyone can answer this, but I think Trev should start because we haven't heard from him in a second. Trev, what are church guys looking for in church girls?
Share your feelings with me, and then I can open up to you. And the more what I see a lot of times is like a lot of like couples don't communicate even the issues that they have to communicate about. Like I think the perfect example is, I don't know if you guys are like fans of The Office or not, but on The Office, there's that one episode where like Jim and Pam are like avoiding like this. I forget what the rest of the episode was about, but they like. They talked about, they just were avoiding this one issue, but then like Pam at the end of the episode was, you know what, we're going to fight, and we're going to get through this, and we're not going to like, but there's only, and that's always kind of stuck with me. And because, for any of you guys that do like Enneagram stuff, I'm a 9, and like I've taken all these tests, and I'm just a 9, like all throughout the difference. And basically, my personality type, I don't enjoy conflict a whole lot, and but sometimes in order to like have the relationship grow, communication about like not only just like the good things, but also just like the bad things as well, and communicating through that, and communicating with love, that should be a point. Communicate with towards one another, and pushing each other to grow through these situations, I think is a huge thing for me. So yeah, I mean, communicating and just being authentic with your and that's just a huge thing for me.
That's good. That's good. Okay, so what I'm hearing, I'm going to take a little bit from what Josh said a second ago. Church guys are probably looking for girls with a firm foundation in their faith. Josh, is that right? And Trev is saying also church guys are looking for a good communicator, someone who's going to be honest and upfront and say the things that church guys need to hear. Is that right, y'all?
Yes.
Yeah. That's
Absolutely.
good. That's good. Okay.
And
go ahead.
If I can encourage me to share my feelings, like,
right.
Yes.
Oh, that's good.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. So pushing your church girls, pushing your church guys to communicate as well.
Help push me to be a good communicator.
That's good. What do church guys want church girls to know?
Yes, I think they need to know that, again, going back to the further questions, that we think a lot more about the little things than they realize. The little things are important to us. As far as relationally, I'm gonna say this, Kenzie, and apologize later. But when Megan and I were dating, I hear this, about premarital sex, right? And that's the first thing, especially culturally. Like that's how we know. That's how you know. I've heard a lot of people say like, well, I couldn't do it if I didn't know that's who I'm spending the rest of my life with, right? That kind of thing. And so, while we battled with that, Megan and I, early on. And then we decided to make a decision to throw God into the mix on our intimacy in our relationship. And so after doing that, realizing like, hey, this is a point we need to make. This is this is how we're going to honor God with our relationship. And so I've told many people, this might be a little vulgar, but if we're married or we're getting married, we can figure out the stuff in the bedroom. What I can't do is if we can't have a conversation, if we can't communicate, if we can't talk about the deep stuff, you can't work on that. I can talk to a brick wall, absolutely. But when there's nothing coming back, eventually I'm gonna, be like, yo, what's going on here? So we can work on the other stuff. We can do that and work on that. But as far as if I can't be a friend with you, if I can't have a joke with you, I'm very big on, if you can't make fun of yourself, if you can't have fun with that, that's where it's like, whoa, romantically or in a friendship, I want you to know, like, Megan and I are best friends. And I truly believe that's why we've had such a healthy marriage, obviously God being the sole provider of that, but us being friends, best friends first, I think really set that, because now I can joke and now I can have fun. And now it's not just, yes, we have bills. Yes, COVID is still happening. Yes, people are losing their jobs. Cancer is still here. COVID is still around. Like, there's plenty of viruses. But the one thing that stays the same is, and she's getting more uncomfortable in her pregnancy. And at some point, I hate to say this, but men, when you're married and your wife is pregnant, there's a short period of time where after the baby is born, you can't have sex, or you're advised not to. And so what do you do then? Okay, I can play video games with my wife. We can watch TV. We can go hang out. We can go on a picnic. We can spend quality time. We can play Nerf gun wars. We can have a pillow fight, and it'd be fun because we are best friends. So what I want them to know is, find your best friend. The boyfriend will come later. Find your best friend. Find out who those people are. Focus on that, and then focus on being the right person. Don't be like, oh, I want to find the right. Make sure you're ready to go. Don't get there. You don't get to a race or a competition or a game or whatever it is. You don't get to that place and decide that, hey, I'm just gonna show up to a marathon and expect to go 100% and be ready to go. Like, you have to prepare for that and get ready for that. And so that's what I would say too, is find your best friend. And then don't be afraid to make fun of yourself. Don't be afraid to, and like Trevor was saying with communication, push me to be better. I want someone to tell me, if you're my ride or die, if you're my best friend, if you're my wife or my husband or my boyfriend or my girlfriend, like, I want you to tell me when I have a figurative booger in my nose and a literal booger in my nose. Don't go out me looking like a fool, I got food in my teeth, or don't go out making me look like a fool when I know you've noticed something about me that I need to work on. So figuratively, like, if I have something that I need to work on, need to be better at, push me to that in a loving way, right? But you work on that, work together. It's a constant. Relationships are always, that's the one thing I tell people, like, religion. Well, focus on your relationship with Jesus. Don't get caught up in the laws in the Old Testament. That stuff is amazing. Absolutely. That lines us up for the whole story all the way through the Bible. Absolutely. But the ultimate thing is, like, having a relationship with Jesus. And you have to do the same thing with your spouse, with your friendships. Like, you have to have, obviously, your relationship with Jesus. It should be higher on the board. But you have to continue to build those things and continue to push people to Jesus, but push people to be better. If you're at a place where someone can honestly look at you and say, this person has not made you better, and maybe they haven't made you worse, but you've been stagnant, you need to check the relationship. So make sure that you are being pushed in the right direction, being pushed to be a better person, growing outside of comfort zones, and then don't be afraid to be a friend. Don't be afraid to have fun. Make fun of yourself. Life is fun. I know we can be serious, but there's a time to play too, and you have to be willing to bounce in and out of those inside of any relationship.
That was great. Josh, what is some advice, one piece of advice you would want to give to church girls?
I think Rowdy kind of hit it on the head pretty well. If you are dating, this one was a big one for me and Kiana. Honoring each other in public and correcting each other in private. I think that goes a long way because, like, if I'm, like Rowdy saying, like, if I'm need to work on something, or if might have said something that wasn't very caring, or that wasn't very, Jesus like, I don't want to be corrected right on the spot, because that's going to start a fight. That's going to start, like, hey, you're supposed to have my back, like this and that, even if you're in the wrong, no matter what, like, humanly, that's just going to be just a characteristic that you have, like a defense mechanism that men and women have. So like one thing that we like really have tried to strive for and struggled well with is, correcting each other, in private, and really honoring each other in public. It goes a long way, but also it gives, one, it gives grace. It shows grace, and two, it shows the side of pushing each other to be better. Because let's just say I said something wrong and I come home and Kiana's like, hey, you shouldn't have said it like that. Like, I really think you need to apologize, or you need to go fix this. It gives me the opportunity, one, to go to the person and be like, hey, I didn't mean it in this kind of way, or whatever, or I hope you didn't take it that way, or, and stuff like that. And defeats the whole like embarrassment of, somebody fighting in front of people. And also, like, I say this a lot, like, if you are in a relationship, what you do in private will, become public. And that's just how it works. That's just how it rolls. What's done in the dark will come to the light, and, that's just, it always happens that way. So just know, like, if you're really trying to, one, better your relationship, better, the things that you're doing into your relationship, and try to surrender it to God, it's better to get it all out underneath don't sweep it under the rug, try to get it all out, deal with it, and, go from there, rather than trying to hide stuff. And if you're single, like Rowdy said, the boyfriend will come later. Find that best friend, because my dad always told me, he was like, hey, looks fade. He said, but your friendship will never.
That's right.
And that stuck with me. Really stuck with me, because, like, one, if men don't tell you they struggle with insecurity on how they look, it's a lie.
They're lying.
They're lying. They are lying. I mean, I am 24 years old. Brought up in, a good family home, like nothing really tragic to me, but I still find it hard to look in the mirror and see, a beautiful creation some days.
Yeah.
And, like that's just something that, I wish, church girls would know, because, like, they see the confidence, in front of people, but they don't see the, oh my gosh, like me looking at myself in the mirror and being like, man, like I could, go to the gym, or I could, do a couple more reps, or, I could, do a skin routine, or shake myself, stuff like that. But like one thing that that really, pulled me to Kiana was, like, she loves board games. She loves board games. And, I don't typically, I really don't, but she does. And to see her, like I was just like, all right, God, like, I'm going to do it. Let's just play a board game. We put Zara down, and the conversation that came about was like amazing. It was like amazing. And it was because, like, we were playing board games. We were just talking, and like sex is, great, and it's amazing, in the context of marriage, but like, there's just something more intimate about, like, just being able to hang out and laugh and have fun. So, like, that's just what I would say.
All right, and that is going to conclude this conversation with our church guys. I hope that you've enjoyed this 2-part episode that we've had going on. Before I let you go, I do want to remind you, to press subscribe. And if you are able to leave us a 5-star review or just say hello in the comments if you're on YouTube, because we would love to hear from you. We would love to stay connected with you. And that's a great way to do that. You can also find us on any social media platform by searching Church Girl Gang, or you can find me by searching at Kenzie Carisse on whatever platform you're on. I would love to hear from you, to say hello from you anytime. We always want to stay connected as much as we can as a Church Girl Gang. So do join us on social media as well. With that being said, have a fantastic week, Church Girl.